1 Timothy 1 verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, a good conscience, and faith unfeigned.
Question. In one of the Q&A sessions, Pastor Wind shared the following. The eternal bride is actually a character group. It is us who combine together to create a godlike character. We see that Zion has the same qualities, not only a beautiful personality, and unlike the Puritans who retired to the mountains, we have always been a character-building group. Zion, especially since the hydrogen peroxide incident in 1996, Y2K, calls gathering, street sermons, even Zion message. We can all see that God has been training us to be a character group. At the same time, many work groups are entrusted to us. So God doesn't just need a character, and we need to refine it in the work group, have a nobler character. Could the pastor, at this point in the character and work groups, to help us understand more, compared with churches in general that only work, what is the difference between the two?
At this point, when we talk about character groups, it gets more complicated. Let me talk in terms of units. If you look at the whole of human history, the only one recognized by God. The combination of characters with the image of God is this bride. But whatever we're talking about in terms of combination character and its testimony, all are their works, the work of their hands, like Moses, Joshua, etc., what they do is their work. In fact, under God's setting, the combination of the two in this process, what is the significance? Let's take a unit. Instead of this character group, we are any one of the character groups, for example, in the case of one of them, and then we put him together, to make people understand its own meaning. If a person, there was great character but no significant action, in fact, every idea is just a theory. You might be surprised, all future groups of characters and their deeds, in what form does God remain? It is left in a self-narrative way. When we look at movies, it's not often done this way, it's the whole movie where the main character talks about himself, to help the story move forward. There will be novels like this, from the beginning to the end. It is also about his mentality, how to think, how to do. Few people will read this kind of novel. None of Louis Cha's novels, for example, are written in this way, but there's a small part of the novel that goes like this. What is the advantage of writing in this way? That is, people feel more immersed, the protagonist's sensibility and feelings will also be more authentic. In fact, as you can imagine, a unit character, like me, my character and conduct in eternity, in what form will it be recorded? If it is a testimonial, it is recorded in an autobiographical manner. Because when you're acting, you're thinking about things that no one knows about, as I have shared from the beginning, memories of planting grace. That is, in eternity, there is a clearer book called Memories of Planting Grace, which describes my life, and it will become a testimony that will last forever, become a unit of my soul. Not only his character but his actions, you even saw that his testimony was written by a third party. What do you think he was thinking? If he tells you, of course, you know, but if he doesn't tell you, you won't know. You're just guessing. Do you know if you guessed right or wrong, or even how much did he say? So, in Memories of Planting Grace, you'll see, whenever I encounter something, there is also a retelling. The things I recall, of course, are not so detailed. The extreme amount was a 10,000th of the situation, but not just a 100th. After all, it's been a long time, especially the healing process. When you listen to me in such a short time, retelling the story of those 8 months, or just half an hour to express it, but in reality, those 8 months of real healing, but it may not take 8 months. Tell every change in mentality in its entirety. So, each unit in eternity, but also in the way of self-narrative to stay. In other words, since it's a self-narrative way to stay, it has no action, isn't it just a theory? And it leaves a whole lot of theories. Now, AI can do the same and even describe it in more detail, but what is most important to God is the character of that person. Therefore, these stories have their own value, the value of productive work. Like when I shared the book of Galatians, it also tells of the first blood, you'll feel valuable. But think about it later on, in eternal judgment, to autobiographical review the first blood that each person saw, you may see vomiting blood. You have to see it hundreds of times in a theater, but do you know how many theaters there are in the world? How many people watch DVDs? How many people have watched the movie again? You don't need first blood now, there will be several gallons of blood, enough to make you vomit blood. This movie alone, if you don't watch now, you won't lose anything, but then, you're gonna have to watch again and again, because you have to look back at that person's life, right? We look at everyone through a subjective lens. We'll see it at the trial. But, if that was testimony, is it the jewel of God's crown? Then his thoughts, character, and deeds will be a representative. What is representation? To give you an example, why does the Queen of England wear a crown and hold a scepter? The reason is that it represents her dignity, representing a part of her, represents what she has. 1 Timothy 1 verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, a good conscience, and faith unfeigned.
Dollar, 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 he's every my body. Dollar, 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 and closer than family. There's no need to be fearful. Deep in the night, he will hold me close. Dollar, 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 he knows if I'm happy or blue, and dries my tears with joy. It's confusing to them, but to us it's nothing new. 'Cause when I fear is small in this big, big world, I know that he's right there beside me. Not just today, tomorrow, a year, but forever, evermore. Da 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 da, he's ever my buddy. Da 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 da, and closer than family. There's no need to be fearful. Deep in the night, he will hold me close. Da 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 da, he knows if I'm happy or blue, and dries my tears with joy. It's confusing to them, but to us it's nothing new.